All right, folks, the United Auto Workers are currently striking against the big three automakers in Detroit. The Biden administration is responsible for pretty much all of this. The United Auto Workers are striking against the Detroit three, that'd be GM, Ford, and Stellantis. They were set to resume talks starting on Sunday, following the start of the most ambitious U.S. industrial labor action in decades. It's the first time the UAW has gone on strike against all three automakers simultaneously. It is not a coincidence that this is happening in the middle of Joe Biden's administration. It's happening for two reasons. One, the automakers are getting squeezed. They're getting squeezed because Joe Biden's new mandate that everybody shift over to electric vehicles is creating massive profitability problems at companies that are largely invested in gas-powered engines. All these companies have built up their entire brand on making affordable and powerful gas-powered engines. And now the Biden administration comes in and they're trying to force all the automakers to completely shift their business model. This cuts into profitability. Simultaneously, UAW knows that they have their man in the White House. Joe Biden is a union man. When I say he's a union man, I don't mean he has sympathy for the unions. I mean he is bought and paid for by the unions and has been since 1970. Joe Biden has always been a politician in the pocket of the unions. And so what they figure is they will get Joe Biden to cram down a settlement on the big three automakers who are simultaneously unable to accept any of the deals that are being proposed, not only because the demands are extraordinary, but also because their profitability is being destroyed by the same Biden administration now siding with the unions. As the Wall Street Journal editorial board points out, Shawn Fain narrowly won election as UAW president in March on a platform of new militancy against U.S. auto companies. He now has the strike he appears to have wanted, as the union simultaneously struck GM, Ford, and Stellantis on Friday for the first time in history. Fain said this thing boils down to one thing. It's corporate greed. The UAW is calling walkouts at select plants to minimize how much it has to pay workers from its $825 million strike fund while still causing pain for automakers. So it's about greed, but the UAW is also not calling like a strike of all of the people. They're just calling a strike of some of the people so they don't have to pay everybody. Fain wants a larger share of automaker profits, but Detroit's big three say his demands would make them less competitive against car makers like Tesla and lead to losses. He wants a 36% pay increase over 4 years, a 32-hour work week. 32-hour work week? What? I'm sorry. Who has what? I memean, if I may not be a math genius, but a 32-hour work week is an 8-hour day, 4 days a week. 32-hour work week? In what world? I come from a world where a 40-hour work week was the norm, an 8-hour day, 5 days a week. 32-hour work with overtime for additional hours, the restoration of retiree health benefits, which bankrupts all of these auto companies because, again, those health benefits were benefits defined, not contribution defined, and defined benefit pensions rather than 401ks. And they want cost of living adjustments. So in other words, they want all the things. The three automakers have raised their initial wage offers to increases between 17.5% and 20%, plus large one-time payments and improved fringe benefits, including time off. But a 32-hour work week and restoration of retirement benefits for newer workers are non-starters. In many ways, as the Wall Street Journal points out, the strike is made in Washington because of the Biden administration's policy mandating rapid transition to electric vehicles. The UAW knows EVs require fewer workers to make and will jeopardize union jobs making gas-powered cars. But the companies already lose money on EVs, and they worry about making too many concessions to the UAW that will cause them to lose even more. It's hard to overstate the costs of this coerced EV transition. The Biden administration, with California as co-enforcer, is mandating that EVs make up an increasing share of automaker sales, 2/3 by 2032. California and other progressive states plan to ban all new gas-powered cars by 2035, which, by the way, is not that far in the future. It is 2023 right now. Last year, EVs made up 3% of Detroit automaker sales. I want to talk to you about the Daily Wire's most trusted privacy partner and premier sponsor of this show, ExpressVPN. Think about how often we're on our phones and how much personal information is on them. The scary part is your phone carrier collects data on whatever it is you're doing. Some carriers have even admitted to it. They say it's so they can better understand your interests, but really, all they want is to sell your activity to advertisers, stuff like the sites you visited, what you've been up to online. The more they can get on you, the larger their paycheck becomes, which is why I use ExpressVPN. ExpressVPN is an app that prevents your phone carrier from being able to see the sites you visit and sells it off to third parties. All it takes is one tap of a button, and all of your network data gets encrypted and rerouted through ExpressVPN's secure servers for ultimate privacy. Not only does it shield your web browsing, ExpressVPN protects all of your network data so you can stay private even when you're using your favorite apps. Whether you're an iPhone, Android, or even a tablet user, ExpressVPN works on all your devices. The best part? One subscription can be used on up to 5 devices at one time. So protect all your devices. When your phone carrier tracks you, that's an invasion of your privacy. You can either keep letting them do it and make money off of it, or you can visit expressvpn.com/Ben. Get the same VPN I use. Take back your online privacy today. Use my link. Get 3 extra months for free. expressvpn.com/Ben. EXPRESSVPN.com/Ben. Whether we love it or whether we hate it, AI is here to stay. AI is expected to create over 100 million new jobs globally. Some jobs include data scientists, product designers, robotics engineers, and maybe even ad revenue assistants with AI skills. Why do I mention ad revenue assistants? Because we have a person who works here named Whitney. Whitney is excellent at her job. She makes sure that all the ads get read on time, and she makes sure that everybody is paying their bills and all the rest of that stuff. But what if Whitney submitted, I don't know, dozens of ads every week that I have to read? And you just finally get frustrated with Whitney, and you're like, enough of this. We have to replace her with an AI. This is when you head on over to ZipRecruiter. If you want the most qualified candidate, ZipRecruiter uses its powerful AI technology to do it. They'll help you find and send you people whose skills and experience match your job. Then, ZipRecruiter lets you easily invite them to apply to encourage them to apply sooner. In fact, over 3.8 million businesses have come to ZipRecruiter for their hiring needs. Get the leading edge on hiring with ZipRecruiter. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter will get a quality candidate within day one. See for yourself. Go to this exclusive web address. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/dailywire. Again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/DAILYWIRE. ZipRecruiter is indeed the smartest way to hire. I mean, it's amazing to think that Joe Biden has basically forced the automakers into this position. And because, again, he is such a bought and paid for union shill, the unions feel like they can force these sorts of insane concessions down on the car companies. Hakeem Jeffries, again, another Democrat-based union shill, he says that the UAW is fighting for basic freedom, which is weird because I didn't think basic freedom was a 32-hour work week and defined benefit pension plans.
I'll be heading to Detroit a little later on today, looking forward to standing in solidarity with the United Auto Workers who are fighting for the fundamental American dream, which is quite simple. If you work hard and play by the rules, you should be able to provide a comfortable living for yourself, for your family, educate your children, purchase a home, and one day retire with grace and dignity.
Oh, that's it. Is that what they're fighting for? A 32-hour work week, defined benefit pensions, and all that. That's about basic human rights. Interesting take. Well, no shock. It turns out that as the union ratchets up pressure on the Biden administration, they're sending their emissaries there to try and cram some sort of deal down on the automakers. UAW President Fain, he says that they're refraining from openly endorsing Biden in the next presidential race because they're trying to pressure Biden. Here he was saying, we expect actions, not words from Joe Biden.
President Biden says he's the most pro-union president in American history, but you haven't endorsed him. What is it going to take for you to do that?
Our endorsements are going to be earned. We've been very clear about that, no matter what politician it is.
How does he earn it?
We expect action. We expect action, not words. And you know, this fight we're in right now, I mean, obviously, people are talking about them trying to interject themselves into our negotiations. You know, this negotiating, our negotiators are fighting hard. Our leadership's fighting hard. It's going to be won at the negotiating table with our negotiating teams, with our members manning the picket lines and our allies out there. Who the president is now, who the former president was, or the presidents before them, isn't going to win this fight.
Okay, so that is, again, him basically pressuring Biden. Now, Biden is naming White House advisor Gene Sperling and acting Labor Secretary Julie Su to go to Detroit to help reach a deal to end that walkout, which began early on Friday. The official with the White House, unnamed official, said both Sperling and acting Secretary Su are engaging with the parties by phone as they have for weeks with the intention of being there early in the week. They're pleased that the parties are continuing to meet as they had been before the contract expired. They're not going to serve as mediators or intervene, but to help support the negotiations in any way the parties feel is constructed. And Biden says he understands workers' frustrations that as automobile companies registered record profits, they haven't been fairly shared, in my view, with those workers. Let's be clear, no one wants a strike, but I respect workers' right to use their options. And the unions know they have their man. And Joe Biden really needs the unions. He really does. There's a new poll out from CBS News, and it finds that 72% of Americans believe that Joe Biden is not actually healthy enough to serve as president of the United States. Again, a new poll from CBS News YouGov has Donald Trump over Joe Biden 50-49 at this point, showing, again, that Donald Trump remains an incredibly tough candidate against Joe Biden. More importantly, showing that he's not running away from Biden. Biden isn't running away from him. They're locked in a death struggle here. Meanwhile, the entire Democratic Party is in a state of panic about Joe Biden. The New York Times has an article titled, "Top Democrats' Bullishness on Biden 2024 Collides with Voter Worries." As one top Democratic strategist put it, the voters don't want this. That's in poll after poll after poll. So no wonder Joe Biden has to shore up that union support. Are you tired of the lies and the twists of the mainstream media talking points? Yeah, me too. Join me in my newest series, Fact, where I dismantle and bring truth to this tiring mainstream agenda.